Everybody gather around Father John. Tell us the story. Oh, I think we have to call
Can you just draw to the right?
Oh,
Oh.
And you see, like, for example,
when all is fair, like, it sure was. This is a regular market. This should be. All right. So new attachment APIs. So I guess maybe should just write out what they are and how the flow works. We can start from there and then go on about this question. All good. So I guess first let's talk about what we used to have. So we used to have a reserve call, had an init connection call. We had an attach call. Really. Oh, right bigger? Okay. No. I'll try. I'll see if I can get the screen. It's never right small anyway, but okay. Visualize. Attach. Okay. So that was the initial process. And then we have the unreserved. Sometimes we use, sometimes we don't. And we have terminate. And then we have attach. So you can order. They are. Yeah, just like the one you have. So basically, what reserve does is it goes to the database and it changes the state of the volume to hash. That's it. What initialize does is goes and gets. I'm using actually because never had an error check. GitHub.com/openstack-cinder. Yes, reserve will check things like the current state of the volume, right? So if the volume is in a state like in use or something like that, currently it's not multi-attached, it will say you can't reserve a volume. There are other things, yes, if there's an error state. There are expected states. Sorry. It just comes down to so initialize, this is the first call that will actually go all the way down to the driver, get connection info and everything else, and pass it back out. That is where all of your isolated connection info comes from, and that's how the caller knows how to actually make a connection, whether it's a shared file system, ISP or fiber channel, or RT. So it all works the same. And then this guy attach is another simple DB No? Oh, this is the old code. Okay. This is the old code. I'll get to the new code in a second. I figured it'd be good to have a comparison, right? So unreserved will go over, and it will go to the database, and it will set the state to detaching. Right? Terminate connection will go down to the driver and say delete the connection, right? Delete the target.
So I'm user like this is the one that's available and what's detaching is leading to that.
Yes, there are two different things here. There's also a begin detaching. Anyway, it doesn't matter. This is history. And then finally, the detach call will go to the database and mark it as available. Right? Okay. That is the original attachment. So the new code, I'll show you where it started. Okay, where it started with. So, do you guys want to go into details about what Cinder has for the information here, and what it knows and what it doesn't know?
I think I kind of know now.
Okay, so the new code, the new API, initially started out with attachment, create, and delete. That was it. And what would happen is, when you do an attachment create, I combined all three of these into one API call. Okay? And then when you do a delete, find all those in one. What we did in addition to this was we created inside of the database, we now have an attachment object. That attachment object has all of the connection info, connector info, host info, everything else that's associated that's ever passed back and forth in this path. Because before, what we would do is we would send over connector info and IQ and everything else. We wouldn't save it. So all we know is, hey, somebody made a call, somebody made a connection. We don't know anything about it. We would save it. We save the host. Okay, so this was day 6 and life was good. On the Nova side, Nova does some really interesting things depending on the attach case. So the simple attach a volume to an instance and detach it from an instance, this works great, and it's all fine. But then,
I'm not sure
that's fine. Illico disagrees. Nova folks all disagree. I disagree with that. So, but where it does get kind of problematic though is things like loop and volume, things like shell and non-shell, and things like micro. And the reason why is because Nova is exploiting some of this stuff. So loop and volume, for example, what loop and volume is going to do is it's going to take a volume and it's going to go out and it's going to reserve it. It's going to do an initialized connection. And so everything else, it's not actually going to attach it to the node until the instance is scheduled and ready to boot. So it does that stuff in the API layer. And then once it gets to the manager and gets down to an actual host, then it actually doesn't initialize. I can't remember if it does it the first time or just gets the identity connection information and everything, actually makes the attachment, and then uses it. So that's one case where this gets kind of, it doesn't work so the way you get around that is you move this. The other problem is things like shell and migrate and restart. inside and things like that. The way Nova works is, once you have a volume set up and attached and connected, it never actually does the detaching. So it will go through and do things like terminate and break the target and stuff like that, but it doesn't actually send that call over to Cinder to change the status of the volume. Okay? So what that means now is you have this weird corner case to deal with of, okay, what if I have a volume, this is compute A, compute of B, and I have volume 1 in here, and I use a migrate, for example, or rebuild or something like that, that's going to move it over here. The way Nova does that today is it just moves it underneath without actually telling the data, the Cinder database is right? So all calls under this. But with this model, that won't work it, right? So initially, the idea is, okay, we'll just delete this attachment and create a new one. Okay. That won't work. I thought it would work, but it won't work without rewriting all of the so now we have this thing called update. We're at. So can you describe why? Oh, sorry, not there yet. Can you describe why it won't work? Is it just because they don't like the fact that volume is available in time period? No.
With live migration, you always have the volume connected somewhere.
With line migration, I get it, like, no, none shall, like, you could just detach it and attach it. Why does that bother them? It's not that it bothers them, the problem is the way the code is laid out and architected and everything else. So on the surface, it would seem like, oh, this is easy, just change it, right? It's not, because there's not like a set control plane where all these calls take place. They're actually spread out, and depending on which case you're testing, make the determination on where that action takes place. Right? So there's basically 6 modules in Nova. There's basically 6 modules in Nova. And depending on what call you're doing and stuff, we'll be doing an attach operation. Yeah, and depending on which one it is, it depends on where that's at. I've created 2 million. Yeah, the attach stuff is interesting. It's hard to figure out. Yeah, exactly. And then there's differences because of libvirt versus Hyper-V versus then et cetera, right? So it's really confusing and complex. So that's why it wasn't like initially I was hoping it was going to be here's these 2 calls, put everything with it, there anymore. And that can still be done, but the problem is if you look at the patches in Nova to make what we have today work, it's a ton of change. And to do something like this would be like triple that, right? It would be overwhelming. There's no way it wouldn't be it. Okay, so what we did is now we have this. We use the same model. We have attachment create. We added update. The way this works is so now you can do an attachment create, and if you don't specify a connector, it will be up. And then now, yes, and now it uses a volume state of reserve because I'm kind of pedantic and this always bothers me. So I changed it to reserve because that's what it is. So you can just use attachment create and give it your connector, and it will do all those. And actually, the way it works is inside just call it. Or you can do it in 2 steps. You do attachment create and then an attachment update. So then I was happy and I thought, I fixed the root volume problem. We're good. Well, not so fast. So then we got into problems of. It turns out there's a number of places where nobody knows when it's done with the attack. So it needs to actually explicitly
that we for the layers, right, is what it has to.
And I will say again, my argument still is from Cinder's perspective, I don't care. I do not care. I gave you the information, if it worked, or if it didn't work, then send me the information back.
All right, so the problem here is that now everyone depends on the in-use state. So the reason where we figured out that we need attachment complete was that we called an attach, and then in Tempest, we called it detach, and we ran into problems because the attaching process wasn't finished.
So that brings me to another, but that brings me to another problem. The other problem is Cinder today. Volume status. It has an attached status. And guess what? It has a status. So for people that wonder why sometimes things get posted up and you can't fix it, that's why. Yeah, we done that. So it's changed in the new. Can we just go back and fix it? Like I said, what do we have to complete? Doesn't update always, doesn't call that, or doesn't update it. So, in the new API, with the complete for does update not update that? Correct. That's correct. So the update changes the volume status. As of now, from reserve. It does not. It didn't before, but it does now. So we go from reserve to versus change it. You sound unhappy with this world. Oh, I'm very unhappy. Okay. I was happy with this one. Well, I'm not happy with this one, but I don't think we have much choice. Because we recreated what we had before. That's why you're wrong. Why you told me that? No.
No, you guys don't have unreserved, so totally recreate the whole thing, and
It is still better, and the reason it's still better is if you're not knowing, you can still do it this way, and it will work. So it is still better. And the other thing is, it is still better because, folks did. That going forward, we're actually going to take so it's still a good thing. What I liked about it is always the old world. And you don't know when new database checks at any time. Nothing else works in our database. Smoothly we can walk. So I don't know if you're going to fail and create a create attachment, but whatever happens, we'll have a record. So as far as solving multi-attach, this is still, if nothing else, this will help us get to multi-attach with different names. Only because now we have individual attachment records per attachment. Even if it's the exact same information in each one, doesn't matter.
so you take extra information now.
That's what I mean. That's what I mean, because we didn't use to save. So the new attachment object has the information to know, and that we can use that as our reference. So that's to what Patrick I was trying to explain earlier. So now you can actually treat this as a reference pattern. You can say get attachment to volume or host or volume or backend, whatever, and you can iterate through that to figure it out.
Where the colors synchronize themselves enough. Yeah, right. Like
Yeah, it's racing.
Right. It works as long as the caller knows that you do that kind of stuff.
So I think, yeah, so there's a couple of problems that still need like hardening. It solved the initial problem, but we just couldn't get it to work with the old data that we had. What it doesn't solve is whether we need to do locking around these or how we want to deal with that.
In the Cinder service, right?
And we had to
Yeah, it needs a lot, the server needs a lot.
I don't think the server needs.
Yeah, if you put on the client, if the client does it, you don't need the server. When you use the server, you can't have it. But you won't, it doesn't really good. Like, it won't, you still have the problem.
One of my comfort is the attachment company means something for a user or a different reference couldn't know anything the operation learning that learning data. So your concern is on the attachment complete return nothing so that you're worried what if it fails? What if the attachment complete fails? Maybe fail we can get anything useful info if it's failed. So I'm not sure I understand the case that you're describing. I will say that, so since it's complete, the only thing it's doing is updating the volume status. You do have indirect feedback because you can do a volume show and see that the volume status has changed in use, right? If the object, the nice thing about objects in Cinder, and since we're using the object, is it does error reporting and it will raise an exception if it fails. So you will get it, if for some reason you can't update it because it's in an invalid state or something like that, you will get some feedback. It may not be great and we can improve upon it, but there is a mechanism there to do that. I'm not sure if that helps the specific case you're thinking of.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's good. That's a good. Yeah, that's a not a problem.
Okay.
Oh.
But you'll find another problem. Everybody does. Don't feel bad. No, that's so that's the idea. The big problem right now is for multi-attach is making sure that we come up with something for the delete. So turning multi-attach on right now is, well, it's basically already on. Just set a flag in your conf file that says multi-attach enabled true. And it'll work.
Is that, I thought that was on a per driver.
Yeah, I thought we did per driver.
Yeah, per
Maybe.
driver, it's a different one.
Works in my driver, so works in LVM. I don't know. Anyway,
It doesn't work on LVM.
it does. It does if you change the code. So look, all I'm saying, no, what I'm saying is it's like, it's, hold on a second. This is one check against the object on the expected states. That's it. Once that's addressed, the rest of the barriers that we had in place to protect people from doing this are gone.
Don't you need clustered LVM though to support this?
No.
No? Okay.
Not depending on what use case. If you want to write from both of them at the same time, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
But even with LVM, from the perspective of Nova, it didn't delete the target.
I'm not talking about Nova. Yeah. Yep. Nova is a different. When you throw in Nova, all I'm talking about is the limitations and the barriers that we had on the Cinder side. The only one left, the only guardrail left right now is that status check.
But is that ref count that we are doing for LVM works for multi-attach as well? Or is there?
Well, for LVM, we don't need it.
That's the thing.
What do you mean? You said, so,
So
the thing
LVM,
with LVM that you said that it exports one time per, I don't know, host or volume or whatever. And we already had issues with LVM, that's why we have the ref count there already. And the reason why we don't have multi-attach working yet, because testing with LVM didn't work.
it'll
If
work
we have
out.
both sides. That's
It'll
why I'm
work.
asking
Yes.
the ref count that we
So-
are doing fixes it.
So it hasn't been, you know, I'm sure there's some tweaks and some testing that needs to be done. But in general, all the things are in place now. Because LVM, the new code, at least at one point in the manager, does go through and count and check the number of attachments. Now,
Attachments on that host.
yes, for that volume, on that host for that volume.
What you really want is all the attachments on that host for all the volumes.
No,
In case-
not for LVM. LVM gives a unique target for every single volume.
Okay. So that's what I wasn't sure.
Related to that, where we have like the Nova side of that, knowing when to call what's brick, like
Yep.
the other half of it.
So that's something that's not in place, and at one point, we did have some code in the attachment delete, where the response from the delete would say safe to disconnect.
Yeah. So
And that's what we need. That's what we need to do.
in the manager, right, that looks at like the return value, terminate connection or something, stuff like that. Look at it, just kind of stops there.
Well, it doesn't. That's the thing.
That got messy.
Doesn't
If it was that easy, it would have been great. But it's not, because there's these weird cycles that go through block device. So vert block device PY. So there's probably going to have to be some stuff in there. And I think block device PY is where the brick call actually is made from.
So,
Or no, because it goes down to vert iSCSI or vert volume iSCSI.
so for attachment delete, does the Cinder API service synchronously call the Cinder volume service, or is there an asynchronous thing where delete says I'm deleting, but then an RPC gets sent to the Cinder volume service to actually terminate the connection and everything?
I don't remember, but I think I made it synchronous.
Yeah, I think so.
I think so,
Yeah.
because I think that was part of the idea.
We normally don't like the API service to wait on the volume service for responding to a REST request, right?
That's not really true, no.
Yeah, but these were the only cases, one of the few cases we actually
There's
want
There's like 3 or
them
4, I
to
think.
be synchronous when you create,
Okay,
when
so
you delete, you want to be sure. that
This
it's-
shouldn't be a long-running operation, and in my opinion, it should be a blocking operation. I mean, you
well,
definitely.
then there are weird cases like the volume service is down, your API connection is hanging forever.
No,
No,
it will
timeout.
time out.
Maybe an RPC timeout.
Yeah. And we could always add a check in there to check the status of the service before sending the request.
I mean, the only other
That's an
option,
easy fix.
the only other option would be like to introduce some callback mechanism, which I can tell you right now, I wouldn't even propose it to the NOAA guys if I were you.
No, I mean, you could make it.
They already have
asynchronous.
a
You could go
callback
They do, and they want to get rid of it.
Okay.
Is that the migrate thing or is that another?
I can't remember. It was the compute assistant snapshot thing.
Wait a second,
That's
didn't they tell us to move to using that?
Or maybe they did, I don't know.
At some point.
At some point, they're like, hey, we got this thing.
So maybe,
use it.
actually, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that is what they would prefer.
Because that's.
But regardless, I don't think it matters. It's a raffle, and I don't see what we need to be.
No, yeah, so it's
So
one of
they
so
told us
does
to-
create work the same way? It's also.
Yes.
We all agree that
But
it's-
remember, yeah,
Okay, so we decided that synchronous is the right way to go for attachment.
But no, so are we still returning safe to delete from attachment delete?
no, we need to figure out exactly how folks want to do that, and then I will submit it in, or somebody else can,
The
whatever.
problem is then that's racy, right? You say, oh yeah, it's fine to delete. In the meantime, someone else came in and attached it.
You've been hanging out with John Garbett? Yes, because that's exactly his.
So if you say that the volume state and whatever state stays and things like that, then it might not be that much of an issue. But if I remember correctly, we couldn't even agree on whether returning that thing is what we want to do, regardless of racy or not. Because just looking into the drivers, and I think even because of the various Tinder drivers, we couldn't decide that what it will boil down to and how to explain this to the driver maintainers and so forth. So there were
Yeah, I don't know.
million.
All I know is I've been
sidetracks.
working iterations of this thing for a year, and I'm at a point now where I'm pretty much, I'm done. So if somebody, rather than just tell me it won't work, I need somebody to actually tell me what they want to propose as a solution.
Well, like for the NetApp isolated driver, we would compute safe to delete by looking at all of the attachments from that host to that volume. No, not to that volume, just all the attachments from that host, because it's going to be a shared target world for every volume.
But there is the point that Patrick brings up. We do have to figure out if there's something we can do about the raciness of.
Yeah,
There's
it's
another,
all the
like,
way.
more fundamental problem, which is you have to like do the OS break stuff before you complete. So like,
Oh, yeah, that's right.
so kind of like, we can't call delete to see if we should do the OS break stuff.
Well,
I think, so there was a
Sounds like a no problem.
that approved all this. The solution for that was they were supposed to do like a get on the attachments and do the logic in Nova to decide that. And like, I don't know, it sounds like that all kind of got nixed. I don't know.
no, we did something. I just can't remember what we did. We did do something to address that. Just at one point, I thought.
Is any of that in like code review form, or is it all still?
Oh, yeah, a lot of it's actually merged.
Yeah.
It's silly. But yeah, there's one big honking patch since the last patch.
Yeah.
So one other thing to think about too is the way we used to do targets in Cinder was when you created a volume, we created a target. When you deleted the volume, we deleted the target.
That's like the LVM model.
Yeah.
It doesn't work for me.
Okay, I didn't know if it did or not.
Yeah, because like like similar to that, like there's shared targets and things like that.
Oh yeah, no, what I mean is you move everything down to a ref counter on the target inside the driver. And then the driver knows when it gets the last volume, does the last delete, and it deletes target. Or you just leave hanging targets.
Yeah, I wanted to ask whether we do periodic cleanups or something, if something hangs and just it's there without any real.
I mean, I'm not saying that that's a solution, I'm just saying it's.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. I guess
It's still safer.
it still doesn't, whoever's calling it, host Nova or like, Kubernetes thing.
Thank you, thank you,
Whatever it
thank
is,
you.
anything, right? It still needs to know when it can clean up the stuff, right?
Well, yeah, so, but here's my response to that, and I know it doesn't fly and nobody likes it, right? But my response to that is, most folks that are consuming like an iSCSI device, it's their responsibility to know what's in use, what's not, and what to do with it.
Yeah, I agree, I agree. I think
It shouldn't be Cinder's.
we need to make sure they have everything they need to do that.
Yes, I agree. And that's why I think the safe to disconnect thing, that's why I thought that was the right answer.
Yeah, I think it is, it's just like the timing of like how they get that and like how, so part of the reason that I'm kind of like picking on this, most of our API design comes from Nova baggage that we have to work around. And I suspect this is also in that category of like, we have to put it in the right place in our API flow so it works for them.
It is now.
So like, we should make sure that at the point where they need to do that, they can. Looking at like our list of stuff, I don't know if that's possible. It might be.
We also talked about having this, whether or not it's safe to disconnect as a separate call and not as a return value of delete, by the way. That was the other idea.
I guess that was the only state it's possible. The answer being yes,
So
or
we could
add
still-
something else, right?
And maybe being explicit like that is better, I don't know.
I think it would be.
I don't like another call, but sometimes it seems like we almost need something that's gonna change the status of the volume so that we don't have any race condition there. Where if we do return and say, okay, go ahead, if an attachment comes down, the volume's already been switched over to a state where we will say, no, we're.
So,
Yeah, but keep in mind that the single volume thing, actually, that one is actually pretty much solved. It's pretty easy.
Yeah.
The part that's tricky is the shared target thing.
yeah, when it was the NetApp one that you said that it's all the volumes on that host goes through the same shared
The
connection.
more I think about this, I think I'm agreeing with Patrick, and John. The only way to solve this really well is to have explicit modeling of the transport object, or the target object, or whatever it is, and that has to be done by the client to do that correctly. There's no way Cinder can model that thing and do the ref count and give you the right answer when you want it, because like he said, you actually need to detach on the client before you send the rest of guy Cinder saying, destroy my attachment now, I'm done with it. So unless there's a way.
I'm still curious how you guys deal with that today.
So today, OS Brick has smarts in it to go and look and see, like, it goes on, like, scan the system and be like, oh, are there any other ones that are associated with these targets?
That's what I thought, and then it
Yeah.
skips it.
And it skips.
It lies and it says it did it, right? Yeah.
And I guess, I don't know if we have any problems with it. I know in the past, that has been a source of a lot of bugs. So if we can avoid that, that'd be really cool. So
I
if we call it
completely-
Brick detach, it actually detaches it.
Yep, I completely agree, and I get your point. All I was getting at earlier was, there's a handful of people calling me crazy saying that this won't work, and multi-attach doesn't work. And I keep running it and testing it, and it does work.
Yeah.
And I think it does work because it just works the way it old code did.
Yeah, it's not like a step backwards.
Right, it's a sum-zero game as far as that goes.
Yeah. Well, with the simplified API, just
So,
we're in the positive.
Almost simplified.
If there's less things on the left than the
There are,
right.
well, and they're easier to figure out what they do.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
I don't think that Cinder should be in the business of returning that stage to the lead flag. It's something the client has to figure out.
Yeah.
Which client?
I would say it would have to be Brick then.
Unless Brick or Nova. And-
Well, Nova can figure it out without information about how the driver handles the things, because
So-
LVM does it
that's
one way
problem.
and NetApp does it another way,
So not
and
everybody
Pure
uses shared
does it in.
targets. That's
And
the
how
problem.
the hell Nova by itself would know? It needs some sort
It
of
needs a way to
information.
model that, the thing that is connecting it to its volumes.
So I think,
right,
I think, to know whether two volumes are using the same thing or two different things.
so Jay had a
And the
question.
problem is the OS Brick library is stateless, it doesn't have a database of its own.
Right.
And Nova doesn't store this information anywhere it's own.
I have a proposed solution, but let's,
so the thought I have is, I thought we had come to a solution that drivers we were not going to enable multi-attach at the ground level. It was going to be, we got it supported in Cinder, and then your driver, you gotta figure out whether you're good or not.
yeah, but we have to give them the ability to make it work. right?
So that's my question is, so there are some drivers where you're gonna say, I've done that, I'm doing a detach here, does it look from your end like I'm done? And
So,
send info back accordingly. And some people are gonna always just say, yeah, I'm done, I don't care, because they have, one attachment per, or one target per attachment. Where other ones are gonna, and we need to then give them some way of sending info back that says, no, I'm not, don't just disconnect this yet.
so what if, and at one point, I think we had this too. But what if in here we had a field that said, shared connection or shared target?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Zero connection.
So if you do that, so if you do that, and then we could update Brick to look for that in the connection data, in the connection info.
Yep.
And if it sees that, it knows it needs to go out and see if there's anything else that's using that or not. And if there is, then it skips the operation, it logs it, and skips it.
Why wouldn't we just get OS Brick to always do that? Look to see if the.
Because some of us don't use that.
Oh.
Some of us use unique targets for every volume.
Got it.
And at which point then the answer is always disconnect.
Well,
And it's even more than just OS brick, because there's some coordination in Nova for shared targets and stuff. Like,
Yeah.
With this,
I'm like pretty sure if you look at the spec for Nova, I think we actually proposed this as a solution.
I know we did, but that thing, we've rewritten it like 100
Yeah.
times. So-
but is it always like, does it matter whether it's target per volume, per host, per I don't know what? Does that information matter?
That's all, the good thing is that's always the same.
Yeah,
Is
So a
it?
shared target is a shared target. It's almost always the same.
Okay.
so I'm pretty sure that, having like deja vu, so I think the solution that we ended up proposing to the Nova guys at like, maybe, I don't know, was that we return this flag, and if they know in Nova that it's shared, they need to do a host-wide lock while they're doing attach and detach.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And if they
You're
do
right.
that, the logic in OS brick to figure out if it should clean it up or not actually works correctly.
That's right.
So I think if we do that, we're okay.
I like that better.
What I don't know is if we've diverged from that too far, or like what we.
Don't see that. Ben, would this, having that flag in there also address the issue we were talking about earlier with NFS-based drivers?
Yeah, because the NFS is an even worse case than like the Java iSCSI case where you kind of everything.
Even for single attach.
Yeah,
Because you guys never delete anything, isn't that what you said?
we never unmount, so you mount the share, it never gets unmounted until you reboot the machine. That's the case around forever.
Probably shouldn't say that publicly.
And there's a bug from like 2012.
Yeah.
I think that's been partially fixed.
I think you, actually, Eric, you worked on that.
It tries to unmount it. but
I think
It fails every time.
I think that's actually. what
Yeah.
it is.
If the files are
Who
open
tries that,
from,
just never say.
Yeah.
like, you will hold on to it.
And they recently fixed it up by adding some kind of big block serialization in Nova to make it not racy.
Okay. Cool, oh, that's good, but yeah, having a shared target where like you would either be the iSCSI portal name in the case of the net iSCSI driver, or the NFS mount point in the case of any NFS driver. If you supplied that back to Nova, then Nova would be able to say, okay, I need to go look and see if anyone else is using that thing. And they would be able to do the correct behavior every time. And we would be out of the business of ref counting, telling Nova if it was safe to delete.
The other thing is, I keep going back and forth on if this should have ever been a thing, and if it should have just been a flag for.
I like, yeah, complete this being another update call.
In Nova, we can't.
What?
Well, update, what returns the connection info to Nova? Isn't it update?
Same thing. No, what I mean is you would,
Or connect?
instead of calling attachment complete, you would call attachment update minus
Oh,
mark
the flag.
complete, whatever. But at least that way, I know it seems silly, but I hate, if we end up with the same number of API calls that we started with, I'm just gonna give up.
Well, at a certain point, we said that we hate flags even more, so.
Well, I agree that I don't like repeating those same calls, but like you said, that's create. If you don't want to use all those,
Yeah,
you can at least do it.
The only one, this one though, the way it's set up, that one would be required. So if I put, the reason why I want to put this in update is because then I can truly just
Oh,
use
yeah.
this.
Yeah.
If I don't do that, I can't. Well,
Oh,
I guess I could, but
you could.
You still can, like how you use update within create, you can do the same thing. with
yeah, but
delete.
then you have, there would have to be another flag in here to tell it to do that, which might be okay.
Oh, we end up with flags.
Yeah.
Anyway.
You're right.
so-
But if create and delete are going to be synchronous, is there any scenario in which initialized connection would take longer than an RPC timeout?
So just so you know, they're already synchronous. So the existing code, those calls, as I recall, I'm almost 99.9% sure, they're already synchronous anyway. I know you're worried about that, don't. That is the least of our problems.
The most common case where you get those synchronous calls to go over the RPC timeout is if your database connections are too low, which we used to have, because we used to have like 15 connections max, and then everything started to queue, and you would get like with 150 seconds to do an attach. But now the default is like 55 connections, and you can actually customize and improve. But with that, the attach and detach no longer has a problem with the database connection. So
I haven't seen a bug other than the database stuff. I've never seen a bug where the attach process timed out for a reason other than the RabbitMQ server died or the volume service died. Right? I've never seen.
Synchronous APIs are supposed to be, I understand why it's necessary, but I can imagine.
Do you remember when delete was synchronous?
With
those?
volume clear?
Yeah, with volume clear. Yeah. Wow. It was awful. So create volume from image, boot from image. It's a synchronous call.
No, I mean, the REST, the REST API immediately says creating, and then in the background it goes and does its thing. Like, the HTTP connection doesn't hang.
That image copy process though.
Yeah, but that's asynchronous. It's happening after the API service responded to you.
No, when Nova calls it, I don't think it is.
So,
Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So I think I want to make sure I hear things correctly, and that Ildiko feels better now than she did at the beginning of the day.
I doubt it.
Well, okay, I realize nothing will make her feel better, but I mean, so it sounds like we're in agreement that we need to have a way to have the drivers indicate whether they use shared targets. And that's maybe something we've forgotten in the process that we need to make sure they bring up and say, this is how we're going to do it. And we're going to do it, enable multi-attach on a per driver basis to make sure that they go and address this on their side. And if they screw it up, that's their problem. Do you feel we have everything else here then to make multi-attach work? And what is Nova going to shoot us down with tomorrow?
I know.
I'm just trying to play thought exercise here.
I think we should have what we need for multi-attach if that one is fixed. I mean, the shared target case.
Okay.
We talked about blocking things in Atlanta. I don't remember where we ended up with that. I think we kind of got to an agreement that that will be necessary, and we didn't really talk it through because we knew that multi-attach will not come in Pike anyway. So we will see tomorrow how that goes. I cannot really predict.
Okay.
We have John Carpet with us again, so he has really, really weird ideas on what can possibly go wrong. But he also loves drawing on the whiteboard, so we should be fine.
So we should have two markers so people can.
Because I mean,
Is there another option besides the lock? If we can't make the locking happen, can we think about something? Or do we really need it?
so is it sufficient for shared target to just be a yes or a no?
Yeah, that's all it would be. It would be a true or false.
But it have to be a string.
Why?
Whoa.
not really.
Does that be a string?
So what if,
You need to know which other ones collide with the one that you're thinking about attaching.
Yeah,
Whoa,
no.
hold on. Now you just, see, this is the thing. I've been doing this for a year. So now we just went in a circle again, right? So if you do that, then you're back to the save to detach thing.
No, so imagine I have two network arrays, both with their shared iSCSI portal, and I have a Nova hypervisor that has a couple volumes in each one of them. So once I detach from all the volumes on one of those back ends, it becomes safe to detach from the iSCSI target, but not from the other one, because that one's still in use.
Why would I attach, why?
So the problem is Nova needs to be able to tell, like, when it's attaching any given volume, if there are any other volumes that are on that specific target.
Right.
So it needs to have some sort of
it knows,
a
Oh, so
key that is per sort of transport.
But it has that in the
It has
connector
that.
info.
Yeah,
It already has that.
Okay, so you're saying.
Yeah, sorry,
The shared target is a flag,
yeah.
that says, go look at the connector. info.
So
Yeah.
if you look at the,
Yeah.
well, I actually, that shared target flag is in the connector info. That's in the connection info.
so it says, here's an
But
IQ
but
rank.
it means if it's true, there's another thing that you go look at to match all your existing connections.
Yes, right, sorry, I should, for I was like, what the hell are you talking about? Yeah, so in the connection info, remember, you have things like oh, I forgot what else in there, but there's like host name, and the target IQ, I think is in there.
There's, archetype for whatever reason. Anyway, there's like 8 things in there.
Okay, so.
More than that.
And the random
Figure
stuff.
out.
And there's a bunch of random stuff, yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, you're absolutely right. I kind of skipped talking about that because it's kind of there already.
Yeah.
I missed it.
But so I guess my question still is,
Okay.
so is the global lock thing, is that a deal breaker for turning this on? And my answer is no, because we're not any worse than we are today.
Right.
But
Well, why is the global lock required?
What would be a
race conditions
between
between
host lock, global to the hypervisor machine? Right.
So, and I mean, what you're proposing is basically an optimization to make it a little more granular, so that,
just that much better.
yeah.
That's it.
So, to answer Jay's question, the reason it's required, the like very explicit example that I'm sure if you go look at Red Hat or Ranch Flow Trackers to find bugs to this, if you go and do OS break terminate connection, and someone else goes and
Does it
does
create
like,
connection?
some other so like there's no
Oh.
you need coordination between OS break doing something on host and calling Cinder to like attach or detach things.
Okay.
So brick itself does everything locked, but if you tear something down at the same time you're attaching in Cinder and exposing the target, or vice versa, you can screw things up.
Okay. Because one guy would be tearing it down, the other guy would be like, hey, I want that.
There's a race there that's been there, but it's been there
Forever.
I mean, we're not introducing a new race.
Okay.
That's been my point.
We're gonna make sure that we can get rid of it though. Okay.
I hear you, man, I hear you.
But
I wonder if we could,
But is it a deal breaker? If it's always been there?
If we
That was my question, yeah.
if we get to a place where we can fix it, that's fine. If we decide that we do something that will make it so we can never fix it without a new iteration of attach APIs, then yeah.
So while I'm around, there will never be another iteration of attach APIs.
There will always be something, right?
Well, no, there won't be like a V4 attach, that's what I'm saying.
can we optimize the host attachment as well by looking at the shared target flag? So if you're attaching a new volume and you see, oh, this is on a shared target, it could bypass all of the iSCSI session stuff if it's already there.
In
Just do a
some cases,
rescan.
you might be able to.
Just do a rescan and
Already does this.
it does it.
Already does all of that.
Yeah.
So the
I
only
think
thing I
you're
don't
right.
know that it does is NFS matching. I don't know if OSBrick deals with file shenanigans.
Oh, okay.
So I don't profess to know a ton about how the shared targets code
Yeah.
works. I've looked at it a little bit in Brick but I don't know a ton about it. But it sounds like we're already covered.
Yeah, I didn't realize that.
It just needs safety nets around it to make sure you don't like add or remove new things while it's deciding if it's safe to do so.
Okay.
And like I said, the thing for me is, I don't know, I don't have another idea as far as an alternative solution.
I think this will work perfectly. I think this is good. I think the hard part is figuring out how it fits in the Nova and like other clients, right? For something that we're writing ourselves, this is stupidly easy. It's like,
Yeah.
you grab a log, you call your OSBrick thing, and you call delete. It's done. But for Nova, that's probably spanning like 18 files and 50 workflows and stuff.
And your firstborn has to disconnect the cable.
Yeah.
Well, with Nova, we already
So-
agreed that for certain use cases, we will just not enable multi-attach anyway, and
This isn't
we will
multi-attach.
just,
This is regular attached.
oh, it's just the regular?
Yes.
I think that's the right number. It's burning my brain, right? 33085?
Not sure. Not me.
If you get a chance tonight or sometime, go to Garrett, look in Nova and take a look at the patch and just kind of see what's going on. And keep in mind,
that
For the new
I thought that was
attach,
the number of
that's-
lines of
that's
code.
the- That's the new attach.
that's probably close.
No, that's like a 1,200
There's a
lines
number
patch
missing
with 800 lines.
But you're
test
counting, but you're not counting all the patches that have merged.
They weren't that big, and there were a bunch of task code modifications too.
Anyway,
Thank
if you get a
John.
chance, it might be worth looking at.
Thank you
Sure. Yeah.
for walking through this.
And again, I'm totally, if somebody has better ideas and stuff, I am definitely open to hearing. There are, unfortunately, just keep in mind, we have been going through this and we discuss it every week and we've been doing this for a year.
No, for at least 4 or 5 years.
Well, with the notes in it for almost a year. So there is a good possibility you might have a great idea, and we may talk about it and everything else, it might turn out we already tried that.
Already shot it down.
Anyway, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so are we going to meet at the Nova room tomorrow, or do we want them to try to fit in here so we can take control?
They have the big ballroom downstairs,
I think we should be nice and go there. All right. So 9 o'clock at the Nova ballroom.
There's a missing 2 between the 018.
332?
3302.
Thank you.
I knew that there's a 2, I just didn't know.
I was
where.
like, we have more patches than that.
I think we.
Off by a digit.
Are you gonna, record that?